Netflix has a new movie every week in 2021, and as part of that initiative, they've commissioned us to create explainer videos for the biggest new original each week. In Outside the Wire, one's a hotshot drone pilot, the other's a secret new class of soldier, and where they're headed, none of the old rules apply. This sci-fi action thriller about US military conflict in Eastern Europe, and also robots are there, has some pretty complicated twists and turns, especially when it comes to global politics and artificial intelligence, so we thought we'd break down beat by beat exactly what you, the audience, should be feeling at any given moment in the film. We open on a civil war in Ukraine, where the US military has been installed as peacekeepers. That's a good word. Let's bring up our morality board.
Okay. So, US, good. Let's throw a question mark on there because it is glitching out.
On the other side of this conflict is ruthless criminal warlord Viktor Koval. So, Viktor Koval, bad. We know this because those are all negative descriptors. And also, he has a graffiti insignia, and we all know that only bad people use paint to make their mark on the oppressive architecture that boxes them in and makes them feel like fuel for an industrialist empire. The other piece of world building we need to set up is the US military is still using humans, but it's introduced robot soldiers called Gumps. The reason they're called Gumps is... and there's nothing. The sentence just cuts off. Do we know why they're called Gumps? Gumps? No. I have no explanation for you. Maybe someone will Google it and we'll get back to you. So, our story begins filtered through the eyes of a drone being piloted by our hero, 19-year-old Lieutenant Thomas Harp. He sees something suspicious, disobeys orders, and valiantly kills 2 of his own men to save the other 38.
What the fuck, Harp? You just disobeyed a direct order.
This is, in the screenwriting biz, what we like to call a moral gray area. Let's update the board.
Okay, Harp is... and disobedience is bad, and human life is worth saving at 5% margin of error. Okay, so we have a few issues here, and we're not even out of the first scene.
I'm sure that's intentional. That's called, dramatic irony? A red herring? Something. So, he's put in front of this disciplinary committee who, instead of throwing him in jail, reassigns him to see what war is like on the ground instead of from his cushy gamer chair. We also learn in this scene that his training was 3 years ago, meaning he's been a drone pilot since he was 16, and this is an indicator of the dystopian future we're in, and definitely not a weird detail left in from a previous draft. He also drops that he's engaged to a girl back home, which, how he has the time! But that's neither here nor there.
Okay, so I did just Google it. You can be a drone pilot at just 16.
What? When does that kick in?
2008.
No, surely. You can't be in the Air Force as a 16-year-old.
Okay, so it's like drone pilot with like quadcopters and GoPros, not like drone pilot with missiles and bombs.
Gotcha. Okay. Phew. So they just Googled wrong like we just did. I mean, oh wow, the future, dark times. He goes to meet his new captain, Leo, who is played by Anthony Mackie. I haven't seen any of the where he plays but I hear he slays.
Lieutenant Thomas Harp, Tier 3 UAV pilot, 56,000 flight hours. 99% performance record, 99% discipline. Engaged to Olivia Rose Myers of Carlsbad. To be married in Palm Springs. It's a very nice part of the world. Did I leave anything out other than your kills and accommodations, or the fact that you can't appreciate culture, or you just don't know when to shut the fuck up?
Leo is very aggressive with Harp, but alternately disarming, and won't really say what their job is. At first, Harp thinks Leo is a quartermaster, which just causes him to go off out of nowhere.
You a quartermaster?
If I were, would you be disappointed?
Why would I be disappointed?
Because that means you just flew 10,000 miles to sign equipment out of a warehouse.
We all play a part.
Fuck do you think you are?
He reveals they're delivering vaccines.
Okay, so Leo, good.
Harp asks what they're really doing.
I chased ghosts.
Sorry, what?
It's all very confusing. But basically they do special missions, you know...
Beyond the wire.
Ooh, so close. So they're actually trying to stop Victor Koval from getting access to nukes and blowing up New York and LA. Upgrade Leo for me.
Not just good, greater good.
But surprise, Leo also robot. So far, the Gumps we've seen are mostly useful for taking a couple more shots than a human would and not much else. But Leo is a sneaky super soldier who's more human than human, and he teaches Harp a lot about compassion and the good parts of the US military effort. Like delivering vaccines until you have to use doctors as body shields, or letting civilians have stolen aid even if they're on the opposite side of the war until the bazookas come out. He's also different than normal Gumps because he can exit a vehicle more than one way. Throughout the movie, we see Harp learning on the ground the true horrors of war. It's loud, it's brutal. Side note, kinda sus how he is more shaken up by civilians beating up an enemy sniper than the doctors he delivered vaccines to who were just killed by that very same sniper seconds earlier. And he even kills someone himself, after which he just needs to sit for a second before he can rescue a woman from an imminent drone strike.
Adding it to the board, violence, bad. We know it now.
After they deliver the vaccines, take care of the sniper, and head out looking for the nuclear codes, Leo tells Harp that he was right to fire that drone strike at the beginning because the threat he perceived was real.
It was a launcher. You killed 2 Marines, but saved 38. They should have put a fucking medal on your chest.
I did the right thing.
You mean you stepped outside your box and they had to put you back in it? Is that why you think you're here?
Yeah, because I broke chain of command.
This warrants a change on the board.
Okay, so disobedience is now good, collateral damage is okay, and the real enemy is bureaucracy. Let's add drone strikes to the list and just call them good again.
Now, all of this gets into some tricky territory because robots are programmed to take orders, and as a drone pilot, he's kind of the one giving orders to a robot of sorts. But now he's taking orders from a robot who's telling him not to follow orders. Also, the Gumps don't seem to be great at taking orders, actually. There are multiple sequences where people are commanding everyone to drop their weapons. The humans do this begrudgingly, but this doesn't seem like a thing Gumps are capable of. And then they just end up firing anyway, either accidentally or on purpose. So, I don't actually know what purpose these robots serve if no one seems to be in control of them. Which is exactly the point. Much to think about. Back to Leo and Harp, they go hang out with Sophia, who has an orphanage, and we learn that drone strikes, it turns out, cause a lot of orphanizings.
Drone strikes bad.
They get some intel on the nuclear codes, go to this bank, shoot a bunch of people. This is where Harp saves civilians and also kills a man.
Good job, Harp.
Yeah. Good job, Harp. Leo does a bunch of cool action moves and gets the nuclear codes. Harp panics outside, calls in a drone strike, and immediately regrets the drone strike.
I don't want to die down here!
They were only 19 years old.
Good job, Harp.
Mark it.
Drone strikes, definitely bad.
And now we get a big reveal. Leo is definitely up to something. Basically, how his programming works is they're both authorizing the other to be beyond the perimeter.
You follow me, I follow you. It's kind of like a paradox of command.
And Leo can disregard orders if they're deemed to be coming from someone with impaired judgment, which, have you seen Harp? Oh, also, he had Harp remove his failsafe. And now the military thinks he's destroyed because of the drone strike. So now they're really off the grid? Is that the name of this movie? Leo ditches Harp, who is kidnapped by Sophia in a very confusing manner for someone who's already pretty confused. He learns that Koval was not actually in the bank that they drone struck, and that Leo lied to him. Leo is in fact with Koval, where he's trying to get the location of the silo with the nuclear warhead, so he can blow up New York himself. Sophia disagrees with Harp's theory, which means that in a roundabout way, she convinces herself that it is what's happening, and that it's good actually.
Russia wants its former territories back. The US wants to destabilize Russia by extending conflict in those countries. We are the ones who want fucking peace, Lieutenant Harp.
Now, this is an exciting development. Recognizing that this is a Netflix original sci-fi action movie and the strong military bent it has, we can now update the board to say the real enemy is not bureaucracy, the real enemy is the US military. I think this is so cool and subversive for a lot of the audience that's going to be watching, and spot on that the US is just using this conflict to destabilize the region and maintain global dominance. War is a tool. They don't actually care about peacekeeping or installing democracy or any of that. I legitimately can't wait to see them take down this ideology in a cool action sequence and...
He's gonna launch a nuclear strike on the US.
Oh. Wait.
Yeah, the real enemy is a robot terrorist. Collateral damage, bad now.
Which makes me wonder, why invest so much time into teaching Harp the consequences of his actions? Wouldn't it be better to just stick with, you did the right thing and not try to humanize casualties? Like, Leo chose him for a reason, and that reason was because he killed his own people for the greater good. They were on the same page. I don't know. Leo kills Victor Koval, gets the silo's location anyway, and heads out to go launch some nukes. Harp goes back to base and tries to explain the whole thing.
Leo's going after
I
it.
thought Koval was going after it.
Leo's playing the Krasnys and the Resistance against each other. They all have the same goal. Nuke the US mainland.
Forgot about that part. I thought Leo didn't just give Koval the codes because he was just lying about them wanting to blow up the US and playing them against each other, but it turns out Koval, Sophia, and Leo all independently want to nuke New York. Leo just wanted to do it himself, I guess. Makes a more interesting movie. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, they buy his very helpful recap of the events of the story so far, and Harp calls up his drone pilot buddy from the very beginning to help track down Leo. With drones. And to avoid causing a war with Russia, Harp says he's gonna go in alone and comes up with this master plan.
Can we drone strike the silos without detonating the warheads?
Hell yeah, baby! Drone strikes are good again! Good job, Harp! We're just gonna send a missile at a nuke across the Russian border and hope for the best. Long story short, he tracks down Leo, who, for whatever reason, doesn't kill him at this point, but just chokes him out for like a minute. Even after Harp shoots him multiple times at point-blank range. Harp wakes up, shoots him some more, and we finally get to the philosophical core of this movie.
Remove the humanity, increase the fight.
Not the most elegant, but he's pretty perforated at this point, so we'll give it to him. Basically, what he's getting at here is that having Gumps running around makes it easier to inflict violence across the globe because there's not a human cost. This will allow the military-industrial complex to create endless war and kill innocent people without a cultural cost back in the US of A. But if their awesome android experiment Leo ends up nuking the US, well, they'll probably shut the program down for a long time, making war much harder to justify. Not like they've had a problem in the past, but you know, it's worth a shot.
No, it's never that simple with you, Leo. You've been lying this whole time, so why the fuck would I believe you anyway?
2:30 минут до запуска.
Believe what you want, but this is the motherfucking truth.
This is a movie with a lot of twists and turns, and even though this is an explainer, some things are meant to be left open-ended. However, my subjective opinion, as far as I'm contractually allowed to have one, is that Leo is on the level here. What has he got to lose?
I have to destroy the monster. Destroy myself, my creator, the US. They need to understand that these wars must end. And I am the face of never-ending war.
War bad, right? Never-ending robot war worse. I think we can all agree on that. Harp is still not pleased that millions will die, which, fair.
Millions will die, Leo.
Get the hell out of here.
How about we do it my way?
He calls in the drone strike and just kind of stands around for a while to make his escape that much more heroic, which raises the question, at what point do they call the strike without confirmation he's gotten out of the way? Nukes are actively launching, and he's a single 19-year-old with a terrible track record. Surely, that is collateral damage that's worth it to save the millions that would die from a nuclear attack, or the resulting Russian war if the warhead launches out of the silo a little bit before the drone hits. Update the board.
Cool. Collateral damage? Not even once.
But no, he's gotta redefine the greater good for Leo.
You know this makes sense. It's the greater good. You of all people should understand that.
Одна минута до запуска.
Harp! The missiles have range to the U.S. We got to pull the trigger, Lieutenant.
Sir.
For fuck's sake. The drone strike is imminent. You better clear out of there, Alpha 3.
50 секунд.
You're wrong. Humans can learn to do better. That is the greater good, Leo.
So this means rather than letting millions of people die, he's just gonna go back and tell the military that their android captain tried to nuke New York, so they shut down the machine program, right? The end result is the same, but no collateral damage, which we just established is of the utmost importance. Well, instead of doing all that, which seems like a lot of work, he just blows up the silo with Leo inside, drives off into the sunset,
Mission complete.
and gets sent home to chill with his fiancée. Roll credits. They can all just keep getting paid for their participation in those endless machine wars and learn nothing. That's what I call the greatest good. It's literally just this, played completely straight.
Okay, Chief, take him away. I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife.
Come back next week for us to break down the White Tiger, if we're still allowed to do this.